almost heaven, West Virginia.
What's up guys, it's Widgeon TV here. For the first time in the Fallout franchise, 76 is going to take place in an entire state instead of just a small district. This is possible because Bethesda has shrunk down the beautiful state of West Virginia in order to fit it into a map that is only 4 times the size of Fallout 4's. This opens up opportunities, like the ability to view an entire state's worth of landmarks and important locations. So, let's go on a trip to West Virginia, and take a look at some of the history and lore behind some of the landmarks that we know will be in the game. Alright, so before we get started, the heavy lifting for this video was done by the Twitter user OscarLot. He compiled the released map segments and labeled the known locations. This was a huge asset in making this video, so make sure to go show him some love on his Twitter. Alright, this video is going to be divided into 6 different parts. The Forest, Ash Heap, Savage Divide, The Mire, Cranberry Bog, and Toxic Valley. These are the 6 distinct districts of Fallout 76's map. Since Vault 76 is located in the forest, I think it's a good place to start. So first location on our journey is going to be Morgantown. Situated along the banks of the Mongolia River, it is known as the home of West Virginia University. The university's campus has a ton of cool buildings on it, and I cannot wait to explore them all. Especially this specific one right here. This building is called the Woodburn Hall, and is the dominant landmark of this town. Alright, now let's move southwest to Point Pleasant, home of the Mothman Museum. Now, if you've seen my video about the Mothman, you'll know all about the Mothman Museum and Point Pleasant. But if you haven't seen that video, I highly recommend going and watching it. I'll put a link in the description for you. Alright, next up we have Helvete. This town was settled by German immigrants who first laid down roots in Brooklyn and then scoped out and found this rugged piece of land that they decided to buy, thus creating Helvete. This should be a pretty minor stop on your journey in Fallout 76. Alright, next up we have Flatwoods. Now this is one of the towns that I'm most excited to visit in Fallout 76, because it is the home of the Flatwoods monster. This was one of my favorite cryptids that I have covered. Again, links will be in the description to that video, but I really hope Bethesda is going to implement something really fun for us in this town. Alright, and the last destination that we have in the forest is Charleston. Now this is the capital and the most populous city in the state of West Virginia. We can see the Capitol building in this video right here. As you can see, it's not looking very good. But I imagine this city will be the most similar to the city of Boston that we played in Fallout 4. So prepare for sprawling urban areas, and probably the tallest buildings that we'll see in this game. But beyond those things, I think this area will serve as a major kickoff point for entering the next area. And that next area is the Ash Heap. Alright, this area is only home to a few locations that we know so far, and let's start out with Camden Park. You'll recognize this park from this trailer right here. It is a 20-acre amusement park located near Huntington. Now obviously this amusement park reminds me of Nuka World, but obviously we have no idea if any of the rides or attractions will be functional. Let's just hope this amusement park isn't overrun by raiders. Alright, now let's skip on over to Lewisburg. Now Lewisburg screams small town. In the 2010 census, it had about 3,000 people living there. So obviously this is going to be a pretty minor stop on our journey. Alright, now let's move on down to Beckley, West Virginia. Now this is a pretty average town. It's got a pretty average population, but there's one thing that's really cool about this town, and it's the Beckley Mines. Now we see plenty of gameplay of the mines in the Fallout 76 trailers, and I can almost guarantee that that gameplay came from this town. I don't know about you, but I'm pretty excited to explore these. Alright, and just a stone's throw away, we have Welsh. Now, Welsh is another small town. It's got a pretty distinctive main street that should be fun to explore. Alright, with that, let's move on to the Savage Divide. There's some really strange locations in this area that I'm really excited to visit. Starting off with one of my personal favorites, we have the Greenbrier Hotel. Now, the Greenbrier Hotel's history is so deep that I thought that it deserved a whole video by itself. Digging into its story was a fascinating journey that led back through several wars and involved one very mysterious bunker. I'll put a link down in the description below to this video. Alright, moving on to another personal favorite of mine is the Green Bank Telescope Array. The thing that makes the Green Bank Telescope Array so interesting is the fact that it's a radio silent zone. This is possible because the telescopes sit in a small valley right at the top of a mountain. This makes it so that very few radio signals reach this location. It'll be interesting to see what Bethesda does with this. Alright, now moving north, we go to Grafton. Now once again, this is the home to one of the most famous cryptids in West Virginia, the Grafton Monster. I have the whole history of this monster and this town in the video linked below. Alright, and last stop in this region, we have the Top of the World Ski Resort, which sits atop the Allegheny Mountains. Now, due to the obvious snow in this area, there's going to be an extremely high chance that you'll run into the Wendigo in this area, because the Wendigo, as you know, prefers cold and snowy areas. Also, I'm not really sure what this dome thing is here. We see it a few times in the trailers and on the map. From my research, I couldn't find it to be any known landmark that exists today. They may have just added this dome as a landmark so you can look up and see where you are from anywhere else in the map. But I guess we'll just have to wait to find out. Alright, so that ends our time in the Savage Divide. Next up, let's go to the Cranberry Bog. Now, we have a ton of footage from the Cranberry Bog, and there's quite a few good locations here. Starting off with a haunted location, we'll go to the Transatlantic Lunatic Asylum. This building was featured in several ghost hunting TV shows, including Ghost Stories, Sci-Fi's Ghost Hunters, Travel Channel's Ghost Adventures, and Paranormal Lockdown on Destination America. This immediately brings back memories of Vault 106 and Vault 34, which in my opinion were some of the scariest places you could visit in the Fallout franchise. You might also be able to relate this building to the Grantchester Mystery Museum in the Nuka World DLC, but this isn't the only haunted building that we'll find in Fallout 76. Alright, now moving on over to Watauga. This city is seen several times in the Fallout trailers, thanks to its distinctive landmark, which I'm not sure if it's some sort of building or radio tower, but you can identify this city pretty easily because of it. But that being said, Watauga is more of a state park than it is a city. It is filled with vast forests with dotted cabins around it. Hopefully here, there will be some spooky forests for us to explore. Alright, now moving on to the Operational Systems Center Coast Guard Military Base. This base is home to the brain behind most actions performed by the United States Coast Guard. It deals with software development and automated systems. So in Fallout 76, I kind of expect this place to be a robot manufacturing facility, but as of today, it is technically a military base that is not open to the public. So pretty much anything could be going on here. It definitely leaves it open for Bethesda to experiment with. Alright, that's it for the Cranberry Bog. Now let's move on to the mire. Now the definition of mire is swampy or boggy ground, so we have confirmation that the Wendigo will be located in this area somewhere because of this video right here. And as for locations, we only have two good ones that I thought were good enough to add to the video. Starting off with Harpers Ferry. Harpers Ferry is located at the confluence of the Shenandoah River. It is definitely one of the most historically important towns in West Virginia, thanks to the Joe Brown's raid that occurred here. You may have heard of this raid in history class, but basically it's one of the most famous raids in the Civil War. Alright, and next up we have Martinsburg. Now I only added this one because of the city's size. It is by far the biggest city in West Virginia's Panhandle, and one of the largest cities in West Virginia. Other than that, there's not too much significant about this area. Alright, and finally we're moving on to the Toxic Valley. Now the Toxic Valley is either going to be the second place that you visit after the Forest, or it might possibly be the very last place that you visit in the game, making this area one of the potential endgame areas. But again, we'll have to wait to see. So let's start this area out with another potentially haunted area. This place is called the Moundsville Penitentiary. This is a Gothic-styled prison. It is now withdrawn and retired from prison use, but it operated for over 100 years before being shut down. Paranormal groups and enthusiast travel guides consider Moundsville Prison to be one of the most haunted locations in the United States, with ghost stories originating as early as the 1930s. Legends include the prison occupying the site of a Native American burial ground. Reports include former guards seeing phantom inmates, and a shadow man wandering the premises as well. These on top of the normal knocking and scratching noises that you normally hear in a haunted building. I'm really excited to see this building, and I hope it has some good scares for us. Alright, now moving on to Wheeling. This city lies along the Ohio River in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains. Wheeling was actually the first state capital of West Virginia due to its location along major transportation routes. But as we all know, it was soon replaced by Charleston. Alright, now moving on to our very last location in our journey across West Virginia, we have the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament. This is a huge Roman Catholic church that has been standing since 1846. There's a lot of history in this location because there have been 3 other churches built in the exact same location. This one just happens to be the current one. It was built with an English Gothic style, and I cannot wait to rummage through this area. Alright, so that concludes our journey through West Virginia. I hope everybody learned something about Fallout 76, and maybe even something about West Virginia as a whole. Like I said before, links for all the videos and some interesting sources I found will all be down in the description below. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to like and consider subscribing. It really helps out my small channel. Also consider following me on Twitter. It's the best place for me to keep in contact with you guys. But anyway, this has been Widgeon TV. Thanks for watching, guys.
Almost heaven, West Virginia, Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah River. Life is all